Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, it's still Moneyline with Nancy, and my guest is here, Uzua Timothy, who is a co-founder at IVON Global Innovations. We're looking at the tech industry today. Welcome to you, and thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
Fine. Thank you.
Let's take a look at your industry. Okay. So much to talk about. Give me a recap of what's been happening so far in the tech industry in Nigeria. I don't know if you listened to my analysis.
Yeah, I did.
I hope I captured to an extent.
Yeah, it was, I think it was bloated, but I think it's cool.
It's cool?
Yeah.
Okay, give me your own, your own analysis of how your industry has been for quite a while now. Okay,
so tech, for me, I started, I think, quite early then. 2004 was when I became a professional. So since then, I've seen a steady increase. And I'll appreciate that it has increased from where it started. But I feel that it can be better, or it should have been better, or faster. But give and take, yes, there's a better perception, there's better adoption than when it first began. And if you look at the GDP contribution, for example, I think the figure we have is around 12%. But in reality, if we look at the money involved in it, that 12% is very minimal. If India is doing something in billions and we are doing in millions, I think it should give us some questions to ask. I've worked with Indians, I've seen some of their products, and I'll say some of our products are far better than theirs. Well, how come they do that? It's because people have perceived that India has a big tech industry, and they go to them even for things we can do better. And that includes even our people here in the country. Our banks, most institutions still go ahead to use products that are outside this country. And it brings us to the issue of trust. We've not trusted ourselves enough in terms of tech.
Which I said a moment ago.
Which you stated,
yeah.
And I think that's the angle we should pick it from, if we really need to address the issue.
Okay, you've said quite a whole lot. Let me see if we can catch up with you in some the stuff you've talked about in terms of, because I see it as a chain. And you said you became a professional in 2004.
2004, yeah.
What do you mean by professional?
Professional, I rendered the service and I got paid for it.
Okay.
Yeah, by a client. So.
Yeah, because I do understand that even in your industry, there's a lack of experience, so to speak, in your industry, that lack of experience in the sense that, okay, they are working in your industry, but that lack of experience, even as concerns even the business acumen, yeah, as it were, is lacking. How do you address that? How can that be addressed?
I think experience is something that in tech, it's very, very important. But then tech is one of the most open areas of human life. So if I'm here to do something that somebody has done before, there are tons of those stuff outside there. There's a lot of information that I can just use and actually do something. And tech does not speak any language. I can speak my own language, Chinese can speak their own, English can speak. And once I implement it like the other person did, I'm going to get almost the same result, if not the same result, like the other person. It's just like maths. 1 + 1 is 4, is 2. So if I go ahead and I do 1 + 1, it's always going to give me 2.
Even if it's going to be 4, there must be a formula or something
that takes it there. So even if a kid does 1 + 1, it's going to be 2. So the experience here is, I don't think it really counts that much. There's a lot of experience we can ride on. And it draws me back to what I said earlier. We should have gone faster than this because there's a lot of experience. There's a lot of things we can look at and actually implement without having to suffer the years people did research and all that to get to the stage they are. So experience, yeah, but can the person actually demonstrate he's able to do this? If you look at his demonstration, his ability to do that, within a short period of time, he can actually give you something that is almost the same or equal to what the other guy did, or the professional, the experienced person did.
That brings me to the next point which you made, that for India to contribute billions from their tech industry to their GDP, and Nigeria is still contributing millions, while Nigeria produces some tech products that are better than Indians.
True.
So that's what you're saying.
Very
so
true.
As it is right now, Nigeria still produces some tech products that are better than others, like the Chinese and Indians?
A lot.
So why are we not keying into that then?
I think it's an issue of trust. The person using this technology does not really know how technology works. So he feels, okay, these guys have sold themselves as tech savvy, so they have a better product. For example, if you look at some of the bank networks, platforms we use, they are not even in English to start with. Or if you look at some of the prompts, they don't really communicate to you what they intend to. So if there's an issue in one of the application or the programming, the person that needs to correct it has to fall back to the company that actually created it, which is outside. And this really affects a lot of things. I was with a microfinance bank in their mobile money section, and sometimes things we could actually take care of immediately, we had to forward it back to the Indians because they did not provide us with a way to actually manage this thing. So if I need to do a reversal,
why do you
for example.
think they did that? So that you always revert to them. And they always make money.
And make money from there. So there's this maintenance, there is a renewal you do almost every year. These things are not magic. We can actually do this thing. But the guy using this technology does not know that you can do this thing because the other countries have sold themselves as experts or professionals.
Do you think we are experts and professionals here in Nigeria?
We have a lot of experts and professionals.
In the tech industry?
In the tech industry.
Commensurate to even our population?
Oh, well, I think the few that are doing it are really, really good. The few that are doing it are really, really good. We have a few bad eggs here and there that flaunt it and then they actually don't deliver, but majority of the guys in it are good. I've met guys on the street, I've met guys in universities, I've met guys really doing stuff. I'm like, okay, how did you get to do this? These are guys that if you groom them 3 months, 4 months, you will get a lot of value from them.
So why are we not getting that so much value? Because when Mark Zuckerberg visited Nigeria in 2016, one of the challenges he threw to guys like you is that guys like you should look inwards to develop applications that would solve the country's economic problem. He went further to say that there's no problem in the world that does not have an application to solve it.
Very true.
And I think I also believe him, because to every problem there's a solution. It's just for you to look inwards and look deeper and you find the solution. What do you think?
I think we're trying in that respect. If you look at what, for example, if you look at what Remita did, Remita is a homegrown solution and it actually helped bring a solution, you understand, to a problem, the TSA. And everybody was shouting, this money is too much for just this kind of... Imagine that we have 10 of those solutions here.
Or imagine it was like an overseas company that did that.
That did that, you understand. But there are a lot that are doing that. The money paid to Remita, people were shouting or people were actually questioning because it's a Nigerian company. If it was an Indian company, nobody would come up with that. We'll be like, okay, fine, it's expensive. If you go to CBN, most of the things happening there, are they really Nigerian things? These companies, are they the ones in Nigeria? There are guys that can do these things. I don't think there's any banking application that cannot be built, any financial application that cannot be built by a Nigerian. There's no magic. It's just to add a few, subtract a few things, and then you have the addition and the normal math. If I withdraw, I will add some charges on it, and then at the end of the day, I balance it. It's simple subtraction and addition.
So why, that comes to the issue of trust, which they talk about. Yeah. Why do you think that Nigerians do not trust the tech guys enough to make that industry expand? You said we should expatiate on the issue of that trust, which I think is key.
So trust is two-way. The person you need to trust and the person that needs to give the trust. In Nigeria, we are concerned so much with instant gratification. And if you look, I tell people this is because of our nature. Most of us grew up in an agricultural society where if we plant today, we harvest tomorrow. So a guy does not understand that, okay, I can give 3 years of my work just to gain the trust of somebody. And then once I've gained that trust, you ride on it for life. If I could meet a bank and say, okay, fine, let me run something in parallel with what you are doing. I don't need you to pay me for it at this point. Then you use it. At the end of the 3 years, you discover that actually performed better or equal to what these guys are doing. And then I'm always on ground to respond to you. And it has not caused any issues. I think I've been able to build trust in that area. But most of us, we just come up, we say, okay, fine, I need to do this solution. And then the first thing we put on our table is the how much. I was speaking with some people, I told them, okay, there's a guy that invented a programming language, JavaScript. I think he broke a record. He created the highest, the fastest raising of funds. In 30-something seconds, he raised almost $35 million. Why? Because he created the language JavaScript, left it for free. Almost everybody is using it on your mobile phones and everywhere. That's made the programming world a lot easier. So when he came up with another idea, it's okay, fine, I want to do this thing. I need people to invest in it. It was easy for people to just rush and do it. So you can build trust by creating what we call the open source project. This thing is free. You can use it. But if you want to go a step higher, you need to get some few premiums and here and there. That's another way to create trust. Another way is, okay, for example, in investment, some of us get money. We say, okay, if I get 5 million naira, this is what I'll do. In 5 years, I'll get the turnover. You give the guy 5 million naira and suddenly he goes to buy a car, moves to a better part of the town, and then there is nothing to show for it. Everybody, okay, fine, I gave money, it didn't work. But there are some guys that are really doing cool stuff. So, but the trust is both ways. From my own end as a programmer, we should learn to delay our gratification for a period to prove to somebody that we are worth this thing. And then once that proof comes in, once the trust comes in, we will reap over it.
You can earn any amount you want to earn.
To your generations, your next generations, and so on and so
forth.
What
do you think is the greatest challenge facing the tech industry? The issue of trust is one which you've said. I don't know, is that the greatest challenge facing you guys, or there are also other challenges facing the tech industry in Nigeria?
I think everything rides on that platform because there are a lot of people with monies in their accounts. So if you say there's lack of finance, yeah, but how do I get to this guy? Okay, there was an application we're developing and I met somebody and I said, okay, this. He looked at the figures, showed him some figures from the competitors. He was happy. The next question he asked me is, can I touch it? Can I hold it?
Can you touch what?
Can he hold the product? Can he keep the product in his hand? I said, no. He said, that money. If I come up with a store to stock it and stuff, he can see those things, he relates with it, and he can say, okay, fine, let me do this. It's actually finance, but the reason he didn't give me the finance was not because he does not have, it's because he does not trust or he does not understand yet how the technology works. So the trust is, I think is an offshoot of a lot of things because we tend to distrust people a lot in this country, and yeah, there are precedents to that, there are so many things that happen. But then, aside that, there are other things that, because of that lack of trust, are hindering us.
Now, let's expatiate this issue of trust a bit, because I hear a lot of complaints now, you know, with the advent of a lot of social media platforms, like Instagram, for example, with the advent of e-commerce, for example. A lot of people don't even need to go to stores anymore to shop. You shop things online, and you expect that when you shop for things online, you pay before. A lot of people didn't pay before delivery. Some do. Just a few people pay on delivery. But at the end of the day, they fail. You would have given money to someone, and the person shuts you down. That's online, and you don't get your money. So the issue of trust comes into. So for some Nigerians that have already experienced that, perhaps they will not also have the trust to deal with some of you in the tech industry.
Well, I think this is trust for use of technology. Now. So, and it's not just, I think what happens in this area is because technology can distance you. I can communicate with you when I'm not there, so you can't really hold me. But if you go to a shop, for example, and you say, okay, this is what I got.
I can see what I'm buying.
You can see what you're buying. You can go back to that place. The guy won't easily move. For example, I got some tires when I was doing a journey. The moment I got to where I was going, the next day, the tires began to misbehave. I went back to the guy today and we could talk. That was because I was able to see him. But technology allows you to stay away from somebody and interact. Now, it is still technology that we can use to solve this problem. For example, I pay money to you. This guy does not get his money until you clear that you actually got your product. The money was debited from you, but he does not have access, but he sees that the money has been debited. Transferred. So there's a proof that you have the money for the product. And he can see that once you agree that you've seen this product, the money gets released to him. This is what technology can do. So the issue of trust in use of technology can be solved using technology itself. But the trust I'm talking about is not in the use of technology.
It's the trust
in the adoption and the sponsoring or the financing of technology.
So that means that financing is a huge challenge for your industry.
It's really,
because
really
I asked you a question earlier that what is the greatest challenge? Is it financing?
Financing, let me say finance, because finance includes management of the finance as well. I gave an instance of a guy that gets 5 million and goes to buy a car. He actually had the finance, but he mismanaged it. So it's not just on one side, mismanagement of this finance as well is also part of it. But financing is a very, very big challenge. It's a very, very big challenge.
How about high infrastructural deficiency? High internet costs, high cost of your tools that you use and all of that. Is that not a huge, is that not challenge a huge one?
Cost is a function of finance,
or are you guys navigating through that now?
No, I think cost is a factor of finance. So if it's going to cost me $3 billion to set up a solar system that can supply my, for example, internet backbones all around the country, if I have access to that, I know that in 4 years' time, in 3 years' time, I can get back the money. But how do I get the $4 billion now to start this venture? So that's, the cost here is actually as a result of finance itself.
Okay, let's talk about the gap between government and startup industries, your startup ecosystem. You're smiling.
Okay.
Tell me why you're smiling and why you're shaking your head. Has the government understood what your industry is about? Beyond Mark Zuckerberg coming here in 2016, beyond, I think the president, there's a special advisor in charge of tech and all of that. Beyond all of that, does the government understand the gap between government and the startup ecosystem? Hasn't been fully understood, and it's a two-way thing, isn't it? Does the government understand you guys?
It's, I'll say it's appreciable. It's appreciable because if you understand where the government is coming from, you would know that they are trying. Because somebody, for example, I have an elderly father who, if he gets on Facebook, he's confused. It's like, okay, how does this thing happen? How does this thing happen? Then you need to put him through. Now, I have a one-on-one interaction with him. He trusts me as a person that this is what is going to happen. But once he comes to government, he moves in. And then he says that you are going to spend so amount of money on something that you cannot even see. How then does he trust, or how then does he understand? How then does he relate with you? It's easier for me to get money from somebody who is tech savvy, somebody who understands how tech works, than for somebody who does not.
Do you think this government understands the dynamics of your industry, the tech industry? Do you think so? Because during the Jonathan days, the Ministry of ICT was created.
Yes.
You understand. Now the president has an advisor on tech. Do you think that the government understands this? Because the tech industry is being piloted by young guys, as it were. Yesterday I reeled out that we have about 2,043 billionaires right now in the world, the highest in history. Yeah. And some of those billionaires were created in the tech world, the likes of Mark Zuckerberg, the likes of, tech guys, not up to 30 or about 30 or 30 under 30, in charge of billions of dollars. Yeah. So do you think that the government understands what it takes to facilitate startup ecosystems in Nigeria?
I think it's a good step forward, because we've come to understand that this is the technology age we are in now. And then what happens is, if you go back to history, every time there's a new age, there's a new shift, the latest billionaires or millionaires or the richest people emerging are always from that field. It's going to be very difficult for somebody to come up now and become a giant in something that is not tech. He has to spend a lot of money, spend a lot of time and all that. But for the tech, I think the government has understood that right from the previous government before now. So there have been steps towards that.
Is it enough?
The steps are not enough. The steps are not enough. And I feel we should give the government a breathing space and talk to ourselves.
What do you think the government should do? Or what more do you think the government should do than they are doing right now?
I think the major problem or the major aspect of the government to look is infrastructure.
Okay.
So I can bring a company and set up a broadband, for example, system to say, okay, fine, I want to have broadband in this country. But even before I start, the policies on ground have not even favored me. The licensing fees and all that and all that and all that. The government could just say, okay, fine, we know this thing is going to be productive, it's going to help us, so let's give a tax for this number of years, let's do this, let's do this.
But there's even a pioneer status incentive, which the government just came up with.
Okay. Yeah. So those are the kind of things we need from the government. They just need to, okay, fine, this is an enabling environment, you can do this. There's a lot of money moving around. There's a lot of money moving around. If you look at the market index, you see that every day money moves hand a lot, in trillions. So if tech is where the world is going now. And the government has made it clear that we want to move in this direction. I think that's what we deserve, or that's what we need from the government.
What kind of ecosystems are we looking at right now in the future? Because we know we have a lot of startups in Nigeria. Yeah. There's a startup ecosystem right now in Abuja.
Yes.
There's, I think in Lagos, they have over 700 active startups. You know, is Abuja catching up? Yeah. Or Lagos is still the hub? Lagos is the Silicon Valley of Nigeria.
Yeah, Lagos, like, there will be no Lagos without, there will be no Abuja without Lagos in terms of tech, because some of us, we saw what was happening in Lagos and we said, okay, fine. Instead of going to Lagos, let's create the same thing somewhere else. And yeah, I can't deal with the traffic, so I had to find a way to do the same thing somewhere else. So Lagos is trying, the ecosystem is trying, Abuja, we are trying, we are getting there.
But are you getting much too in terms of monies? Because for Lagos alone, I know they've generated like around $2 billion. That's over 600 billion naira in terms of the active startups, the startup ecosystem in Lagos, with over 700 of them. Are we seeing that Abuja should make that kind of money?
I think we are young, we are still young. And the challenge or the problem I've seen is we are trying to replicate those stuff that are in Lagos, in Abuja. And Abuja and Lagos, they are not the same.
So you need to be more innovative.
You need to be more innovative. You need to look at the problem. There's no problem of transportation or time that much in Abuja. I can move from Asokoro down to Lugbe in about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 40 minutes. So when you begin to bring solutions that are timed towards saving time and are more expensive than transportation, it won't work. Lagos has thrived on that because, okay, things like Konga and Jumia, everybody's, okay, fine, let me just shop online. In Abuja, everybody, is it not ShopRite? I can go to ShopRite, there are about how many ShopRites? And I can access almost all of them in less than an hour from anywhere in Abuja. So solutions in Abuja should be targeted towards administration, towards meeting day-to-day needs, and a few of those things, like there's a lot of disconnect in social life in Abuja, so you need to get people together once in a while. Those are the kind of solutions that can bring money in Abuja.
You know, there are a lot of guys like you that I met Emeka Chinemere in the US, in Washington, in October, who developed Kitovu, which is an online platform that helps rural and remote smallholder farmers triple their crop yields and sell their produce. In fact, he was, in the world, he was #1, and he was recognized at the World Bank, IFC, to just say that Nigerian youths have a lot of potentials, especially in the tech world. I hope perhaps sometime I'll get Emeka Chinemere on the show to still talk about tech. But I want to say many thanks for coming on the program. But before we go, let's also take a look at let's make use of tech and talk a few things and say a few things people are saying. Wafo says Nigeria is not benefiting from its tech sector because lip service has been paid to tech in Nigeria. Ayodeji says if we must achieve a technological goal for development in Nigeria, the right brains must be allowed to champion this development, and not all these political appointees who barely know nothing about technology. I think that's true.
I think I agree with that.
All right. Many thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
I've been speaking with Uzua Timothy, the founder of IVON Global Innovations. He's a web developer and a programmer. Yeah, he's one of the tech guys here in Abuja, isn't it? So many thanks for joining us on the program today. Please join us again tomorrow. Many thanks for your tweets and your opinions. Please join us again tomorrow on another edition of Moneyline with Nancy. Be the best you can be.